All right, my friends, today's, first, let's deal with this crab right here. Please try to ignore the crab. I'm sitting on the beach today, just enjoying myself, and I decided to make a Revit tip. Today's Revit tip is, it just came upon me this last week. I linked in with a client. That's how I typically link in with BIM management services for different firms. I link in with Zoom and I can work with them directly. And I'm sitting here working with this one client, and they were trying to make a bounding box around an object and could not pick it. And some of the objects would pick and some of the objects would not. And they were having an issue with selecting objects. And it just like bing, popped into my head. Oh my goodness, I know exactly why. And so we look down in the bottom right corner of the screen, and there are some selection icons that assist you in picking things or not picking things in your project. And that's what the deal was. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go there right now. I'm going to show you those icons, and we're going to use them, each one of them, one at a time, and I'll show you the best practice of how to set those up, okay? These are the little selection icons down in the bottom right corner. So let me just share my screen, and we'll go from there. Share screen, there we go. Okay, all right, so here we go. The icons I'm talking about are down at the bottom right corner of the screen. So let's just look down here, and I'll tell you what each one is, and we will use each one as we go, okay? The first item, the first one down there, is the ability to select or not select links, okay? Linked files. So let's just go to my plan here, our little building. Here's a little architect's office. Okay, what I want to do is let's link in a file, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to link a Revit file, and I'm going to link in structural, okay? And structural file, boop, links in. Bing, come on, wait for it. Wait for it. Ah, there we go. Okay. Now, this is totally off subject, but I'm going to share this really cool thing with you. Sometimes when I have an electrical file linked in, I can't tell where the electrical devices are. Sometimes when I have a plumbing file linked in, I can't see where the plumbing fixtures or the pipes are inside the walls. Sometimes when a structural file is linked in, like the one I've got right here, or mechanical, this one's structural. And their structural members could get lost somewhere on your plan, and it would be difficult for you to check to make sure they're all in the right place if you can't even tell where they are. So this is off topic, but I will show you what I'm talking about. Let's do this. I'm going to hit VG on my keyboard, okay, for visibility graphics. And up at the top, one of the tabs is linked Revit files, Revit links. I'm going to click on that, okay? And the structural file is listed here. And what I'm going to do, I am going to tell the structural file to, but okay, what I'm going to do is go by hosted view. I'm switching by hosted view to go custom, okay? I need it to go custom. Here's why. I want his structural members, the columns especially, to pop out in my plan. So what I'm going to do is go to the model categories. And now that I've given it the ability to go custom, I'm going to switch model categories to custom. I'm going to scroll down to the structural columns, and I could pick every one of the structural topics, but the one I'm dealing with right now is structural columns, okay? So right over here, the cut lines of a structural column, I'm going to jack that color up to something bright like that. And I'm even going to smack the line weight up to maybe a 6, okay? So when I hit apply, okay, we are going to see that appear in my plan. So I do this for the mechanical, I make the plumbing one color and the mechanical a different color and the structural a different color. And so that I can find things quickly in plan. So if you guys can see, just the structural file, the structural columns are all highlighted. Okay, so back to the topic. I hope that helps you guys when you're working on your structural files or mechanical, electrical, so you can see things so that you can verify, because you're the architect, right? And you want to verify that the other consultants' items are in the right place. And you need to change them to a different color so that you can quickly and easily identify their locations. Anyway, so here we go. Down in the bottom right corner, if I am working along in here and I could accidentally pick one of the linked files and move it accidentally. And I've seen that before. This one client of mine contacted me, and the structure, not the structural, it was the ductwork was routing outside the building, coming down about 8 feet, and then routing back into the building. And he said, "What in the world is going on with this?" And I looked down, and everything was off the 2 feet or so. Every single object. And so it was fairly obvious the whole linked file for the mechanical ductwork was shifted. He had inadvertently moved it. So once you get a file in here, and I could pick right now, I can pick tab, I can pick that linked structural file, and I could accidentally move it. Look at, my columns are way the heck out of my building. Bad, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I hit Control Z to get them back in the right place. What you do down in that bottom right corner, the first icon, if you click it, it's a toggle on off. And when you turn off the ability to select any linked files, there's a red X that appears. And you can just look down there in the bottom right corner, a red X has appeared down there. And so that means I cannot pick any of the links. So no matter what links I have, I could have a site plan linked and I won't be able to pick it. I could have mechanical, electrical, plumbing, a kitchen consultant, lighting consultant. Any files that are linked will not accidentally be picked now, okay? That's the first button. And I always leave that with a red X on it. So when I open a project up, I set that to have a red X. Okay, the second button. The second button is for giving you the ability to select or unselect, just the ability to pick underlays. Now, underlays, let's go up to the second floor, okay? When I'm up on the second floor, I can see, I'm just gonna go over here, move my face out of the way for a second. The underlay right now is set to show the first floor, but if the underlay was off, I cannot see the walls down below. So let me just go back to my first, move my face out of the way. I'm gonna go back to the first floor. I'll just show you a quick example. Here is an existing wall. I'm gonna create similar. Let's just suppose I had some walls in the first floor, okay? Let's just suppose that's how the plan was. And in the second floor plan, I cannot see where those are. So oftentimes, if you want to be able to see where things are in other plans, you'll turn on an underlay. And so I'm going to set the underlay back to the first floor. Okay, so there it is. Now I can see where my walls are on the floor below. And I do this sometimes so that I can make sure the second floor wall is aligned with it, maybe for an elevator shaft or a stairwell wall or some bearing wall needs to be exactly aligned with it, okay? But you still have the ability to select those. Take a look. I can pick those walls even though they are down below. Isn't that crazy? So here I go. I'm going to just right there, I can pick the walls down underneath. And if I do, I could move them. So watch this. This is not good. This is not good, people. Second floor plan. Look at this. If I pick that wall down below and move it, look at this. I moved it clear over here. I could flip its orientation. I can move it wherever I want to. I can change where the end of that wall is. I mean, I'm telling you, you can change things quite drastically from the second floor because you can pick. I'm going to go back to the first and show you. Look at this. You can affect things in the underlay. So back to the second floor. What I do often, and I suggest it of you as well, is that second icon. I click it, toggle it so that it has a red X on it. Excuse me, a red X on it. That way, I cannot pick the underlay no matter how hard I try. It is not available to me, okay? Now, sometimes, let's go back to the first floor plan. Sometimes people are working along and things are highlighting when you're hovering over them and they accidentally move like the exterior wall. Whoops. You don't want, if there is something in your plan that you do not want to move, it is critical. Maybe it's your perimeter. Maybe it is the location of a slab opening. I don't know what it would be in your plan that is super critical to your project. You can pin those items. You guys already know that. So if you pick an item, you can reach right up here across the top in the main banner. You can pick pin. And now that wall is pinned. And let's just say I pick this other one and pin it also. So now I've pinned 2 items. But look, I can still select them. But the third icon down there in the bottom right corner, the selection icons, is for pinned objects. If I toggle it by clicking on it, looks like a little pin down there, a little yellow pin. If I toggle it and it comes up, it shows a red X on it now. Now I cannot select anything in my project that's pinned. So if I went to try to pick these walls, I cannot. They will not select, okay? So right now I cannot pick an underlay. I cannot pick a linked file, and I cannot pick anything pinned. This is good stuff, people. And this is what was causing that one lady trouble. She was trying to pick a curtain wall and make a group out of it, but it kept failing. It would not select. It gave her errors every time because some of the mullions were pinned and some of the mullions were not, and some of the grids were pinned and some of the there was a mishmash of things that were pinned and things that were not. So, and she had that button set so that she did not pick anything that was pinned. So when she tried to select the curtain wall, it would not select the whole thing for her to be able to put it into a group because some of the objects were pinned. So what we did was we unchecked that box, right? I mean, not that box, but that icon so that it didn't have a red X. And then she was able to select the whole curtain wall and put it into a group. Okay, so it's valuable to know that that option is there, to the ability to pin things or not. And typically, I don't even want to deal. Anything I pinned means I want it to stay locked and stay in the right place and not accidentally move. But why even pick it? So I check that box. Okay. The next icon gives you the ability or not to select one of the elements out on its surface. You guys, look at this. If I bring my cursor over here onto my plan and I click, I pick the floor. But if I'm trying to pick something else, like that column, when I pick, I get the floor. When I'm trying to pick if there's an object that you do not want to pick every single time, like the floor, when you're trying to pick a piece of text or you're trying to pick a dimension string, you can toggle that fourth icon down there, and it stops you from having the ability to select elements out on their surface. This is valuable because I am out here now. Look at this. I go to click and I cannot click that floor out on its surface. If I want to select it, I could go over to where I know the edge is and then use tab to it and then select it. That works great. But out on the surface, I will not be able to pick it. And it goes for the same for a piece of furniture. If you pick it out in the middle, or if you tried to pick a wall out in the middle, if you tried to pick anything out on the middle, like a roof, you can't with that button toggled with a red X on it. Okay. So that helps for selecting other smaller objects on your plan. Okay. So now we come to the fifth. There we go, 5. We come to the 5th icon, and this one is very, very, very valuable. It's another one that keeps coming up that people have errors with. And I suggest that you toggle it so that it has a red X on it so that you cannot drag objects upon selection. That's what it says right there when I hover it. Drag elements on selection. So let me just zoom in here. Look at this. Let's just say I'm trying to put a bounding box around some objects, okay? Let's say I wanted to get a bounding box around these interior walls. Well, when I get my cursor over the toilet and I start doing my bounding box, I start dragging the toilet. So I hit Control Z. That makes me mad. I can't do that. So I try to move my cursor and do another bounding box. And now I'm still dragging that toilet. Look at this. If I get over here now, now I'm dragging a piece of text or a room tag, cancel. And then I get my cursor over here and now I'm dragging a door. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? Control Z, cancel. Okay, here's what's going on. Dragging upon selecting, it makes it difficult to drag a bounding box around a large number of objects. So if you toggle that 5th icon, click on it, that 5th icon, it looks like a move command with an arrow pointing at it, toggle it so it has a red X. Now I can have my cursor over the top of anything I want, and I can still drag a bounding box. See that? And it will not drag the toilet. It will not drag the sink or the words or the text or a dimension string or anything. It won't. I've done this where I've dragged a floor. I was simply, I was zoomed in. Let me just do this. I'm going to uncheck that box so that I can drag on selection. But let's suppose I also had the ability, the 4th icon, the ability to select objects out on their surface. And I come in here and I'm like working. Okay, I'm going to try to do a bounding box around this corner. Like if I wanted to grab something down here, watch this. Instead of dragging a bounding box around anything, I've dragged my floor out of the building. And I know some of you guys have done this. You drag the floor and all you were doing was doing a bounding box. And you're like, why is this happening? Well, now you know. So set these 2 buttons to have red X's in them. Do not give the ability to pick objects out in their center, but also do not drag objects upon selection. So we've got all 5 of those icons with red X's on them. And I know that sounds a little strict, but that's how I work right there. Every one of those is don't accidentally pick anything that is a link or an underlay, or if it's pinned, or if I don't want to pick it out on its surface, nor do I want to drag it. If you want to move something, pick it, highlight it, and then move it to a new location. Okay, you guys with me on that? So those are the 5 icons that I love down in the bottom right corner. And I think they're called selection icons in the bottom right corner. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but that's what I'm going to call them. So I hope this, I really do hope that this Revit tip helped somebody out there. It seems elementary, but I've seen too many people run into issues because they have those icons unchecked or toggled so that they didn't have a red X on them. All right. Well, I honestly do hope that helps somebody. You guys have a fantastic day. And until we meet again, happy Reviting. Bye-bye.